Welcome to the How To training video for the NCOE After Action Report, or AAR. This short video will explain the details of how to properly fill out and submit the After Action Report upon course completion. Here we go. You've just completed a course of instruction, and now it's time to complete your After Action Report. You start by clicking on the link provided in the instruction document. This will ensure that you always have the most up-to-date form. The link will open an Adobe PDF file. You can either fill out the form in its entirety now, or save the file to your desktop or any file folder on your computer. This will allow you to save the data and work on it at your convenience. It's important that you always download a new form for each course completion. The form starts with a request date for the training event. Please enter the date that the training event was originally requested. From there, the remaining blocks on page 1 are self-explanatory. Please ensure that you fill in all the applicable blocks. Note that the training location, state, and country will auto-populate once you select the base, and either click on the next block or hit the Tab button. All of the drop-down menus can be manually filled in if your desired data is not available. For example, if the base you're training at does not appear in the drop-down, simply type in the correct data. Page 2 and page 3, titled Training Conducted Data fields, are designed to be used if the class size is too large to accommodate taking individual student names on a roster. There's room for 6 separate training events on these 2 pages. Enter the beginning date and ending date for the specific training event and the course title. The total iteration block is the total number of times that you conducted that specific training event. Then select the subtitle or titles if applicable. Next is the service type that attended the training, the number of students, and the deployment yes or no block. For this section, the number of students for the selected service is a cumulative total for all iterations of the course being taught. If the class size will accommodate filling out a class roster, then you'll want to skip pages 2 and 3 and move down to the class roster section. You have a couple of choices on how to fill this data in. Choice 1, you can print out a blank class roster form on the first day of training, circulate it around the class, and have the students manually fill in the roster information. You'll find a copy of the blank roster by selecting the File Attachment paperclip icon in the lower left of your screen. Just select the file and then select Open Attachment. You can now print the blank sheet and distribute it to the class. You'd then transcribe the information into the class roster section of the After Action Report PDF file. Or your second choice is to set up a laptop in the back of the room and have the students fill in the data directly on the PDF form during their breaks. Either way, the data should be entered on the first day of the course and reviewed by the team leader for accuracy. Now, let's go through each section of the class roster. You start by filling in the class beginning and ending date. Then, select the course title and any subtitle courses that were taught. Then, we'll move down to the roster itself. We'll use Sergeant First Class Stephen Smith for this demonstration. Last name. First name. The last 4 numbers of the Social Security number. Next is the service the student is a member of. In this case, Army. The student's rank. In this case, we'll select Sergeant First Class. And their NEC, MOS, or designator as applicable to the specific service. Here we'll enter 89 Delta, which corresponds to an Explosive Ordnance Disposal Specialist. The next entry specifies the unit that the student is attached to. Ensure that the student provides the full unit designation, being as specific as possible. 760th Ordnance Company, EOD, is preferable to 760th Company. For our example, we'll enter 760th Ordnance Company, EOD. The next block is the student type. For those students completing training in preparation for an upcoming deployment, select Deployer. For those students completing training in preparation for duties as an instructor or trainer, you would select Trainer. Clearance level is next. Next is the Primary Duty EWO block. If the student's primary duty will be as an EWO, then select Yes. Otherwise, select No. Notice that if you select No, the Army EW School Attend Schedule field will auto-populate with no EW designation. If this block is Yes, then please select the type of training the student attended or is scheduled to attend in the Army EW School block. You will have to keep track of the student's test results, so you can enter that data before submitting the form for review. Let's enter 45 for the pretest and 95 for the post-test. The attendance at RSOI blocks are to account for each student's attendance throughout the 4-day training period. Make sure to check each day that the student attends the course. If they're not present, then leave the field blank. At the bottom of the class roster, you will find the Calculate button. When you're finished filling out the class roster, press this button. It will calculate the test scores and the attendance totals for each day. Okay, so that's it for the student roster. Ensure that the number of students entered on the student roster corresponds with the actual number that attended the course prior to submitting the after-action report. Next, we'll cover the Lessons Learned page. Here, you'll have room to enter information for 7 separate instructor observations, including an area to provide a discussion and recommendations which address specific observations. Information entered in the observations and recommendation blocks cannot exceed 250 words. The Safety Violation button allows you to report a safety violation if one occurred during the conduct of training. If so, simply select Yes or No and provide amplifying remarks in the explanation block. Again, you're limited to 250 words in that block. And lastly comes the Summary section. This is the portion of the after-action report where team leaders and instructors have the opportunity to enter any additional information relevant to the conduct of the course that is not covered in any of the preceding sections. Now for the attachment page. We gave you room for the ability to attach 4 different attachments. These can be any file type that will help to amplify any details of the course of instruction. To attach a file, you simply press the gray button, browse your computer, and select the proper file. Pretty simple. Once you've proofread your AAR for accuracy, it's time to submit the form. The Submit button is located on page 9, just below the attachment selections. You will need to select an individual to send the form to, and then select the Submit button. Once you select Submit, you'll see a download status screen. The time to transmit the completed AAR varies depending on the file size. Be patient, and the form will transmit. You'll receive a thank you screen, indicating that the file has been successfully uploaded. Once the thank you screen is displayed, the AAR submission process is complete. If you're the first reviewer of the AAR, you'll receive the form via email. You'll receive the main AAR as well as any attachments the AAR draftee attached to the file. If you want the final reviewer to be able to read the attachments, you'll have to reattach them using the attachment function on page 9 of the AAR. Simply save the files to your desktop, select the attachment button, browse your desktop, and select the proper files. If the form contains errors that you as the reviewer are unable to correct, then you can return the form back to the originator for corrections. You start by entering the corrective actions in the List of Required Corrections box. Select their email address from the drop-down, and then select the Return for Corrections button. Once they complete the corrective actions, they simply need to resubmit the AAR using the same procedure with which the original AAR was submitted. Once you've reviewed the form and found that it's satisfactory, your next step is to submit the form to the OIC for final review. As the final reviewer, you will receive the AAR as an email with the PDF as an attachment. Just open the attachment and review it for accuracy. As the final reviewer, it's your responsibility to ensure the data reflects your mission sets for your detachment. It's imperative that you review the data carefully prior to submitting the form. You also have a specific block for any additional comments that are pertinent to your data files. Once you select the Submit button, the data will populate the JCOE database automatically. When the file has completed its upload, you'll receive a thank you screen indicating that your information has been received. At this point, you can save the PDF file for your records, and your task is complete. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, contact Mr. Leon Tackett of R3 Strategic Support Group at 805-296-0866 or email leon.tackett@r3ssg.com. Good luck.